Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your guy Rudy SKC, and welcome to a brand new video. So today I want to talk to you guys about why I think the Miami Heat have a legitimate chance of winning the 2019-2020 NBA championship. So to start off, I gotta talk about Pat Riley and the culture that he brings to Miami. And the first point I want to touch up there is the hardworking and tough mentality that he brings on his players. I mean, you don't have to look far to just find examples of this already taking place, right? You see Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, and Kendrick Nunn. Three players that had zero to none expectations coming from here, especially from non-Heat fans. And you look at Tyler Hero, right? Just drafted just out of the lottery. I mean, no one really expected him to contribute much on a championship team, but here he is. He's proven everyone wrong. He's balling out in the regular season, and now he's balling out in the postseason as well. You take a look at Duncan Robinson, undrafted out of Michigan, right? He started for the summer league. He lit it up there. Then he went to the G League. He lit it up there, and then he's on a two-way contract. And then he got up to the regular squad. But last year at the end, you noticed that he really was struggling shooting the ball. And then you take a look at preseason this year, he's struggling, same thing. But then he comes on and he bursts onto the scene, just raining three after three after three after three after three. And that's also been a huge reason for Miami's success, the shooting. I'm going to get a little bit more into that later. But the third player I want to talk about here is Kendrick Nunn, right? Again, similar situation with Duncan Robinson. He was undrafted, came into this year, no expectations, and just burst onto the scene early on in the season especially. He was just scoring at will, right? Driving to the rim, hitting the mid-range shots, just opening up the offense for the rest of the team. And that's a testament to Pat Riley's culture because he makes the players buy into the system, Spoelstra's system. And Spoelstra's system also emphasizes teamwork. And if you look into the past couple championships, especially look at the Warriors dynasty and the Spurs dynasty, especially towards the end, one main thing that was emphasized was the passing, right? You look at the Warriors had numerous plays where they would have Draymond Green set a high screen for Steph Curry. He would come off, then roll it to Green, and then Green would lob it up. And then if not, you had options at the corner. You could kick it to Clay. You could click it to you could throw it to KD. That'd be a three right there. And then you look at the San Antonio Spurs, right? You got Tony Parker bring the ball up, playmaking, Kawhi Leonard, Tim Duncan, who in his last 6 years, he was operating as a big who could also play make. And I think, and obviously, Eric Spoelstra is a different coach than them, but he's also shown that it can work. And I think that these players are buying into that system, and that's really helping the Miami Heat flourish. And they keep this up. They have a legit shot to win the championship. The next part I want to talk about is Jimmy Butler. Oh boy, Jimmy Butler. Now, coming into the season, I can tell you, I talked to a lot of people who thought this was the most overrated signing of the offseason. It was, even on ESPN a couple times, was the most overrated signing of the offseason. And he came into this year, and the Miami Heat really started shocking people. And going back to the Pat Riley point, Jimmy Butler is the perfect player to play under Pat Riley. They both emphasize the same thing. They definitely have the best connection. If Pat Riley wanted to choose a random player out of any player in the league, he'd probably take Jimmy Butler. And the next thing I want to talk about is Jimmy Butler just being a leader, being a mentor to all the young kids on the team, right? You got Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn, all those guys. Like Jimmy Butler has just been able to lead them and set the winning mentality, setting the tone right there. And I don't think it's about Jimmy Butler scoring the most or being the most aggressive to the basket. Because some days Jimmy will just be like, all right, here you go, take it in. You can score. He passes the ball around, which is another part of Spoelstra's system. But when it really matters, Jimmy knows that he steps up into the role and really guides the Miami Heat. He puts them on his back when they need him. And you saw that in the Bucks game the other day. They were down in the fourth quarter, and then Jimmy just came on and he started just raining mid-range shots, just getting the basket at will. He made a couple threes, and I think that's the real what do you call it? That's the real sign of a leader who's ready to lead his team to the championship. And Jimmy Butler, if you look at it, he also had this kind of story like the other people I've talked about: Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, right? He was drafted 30th out of Marquette, I believe, by the Bulls. He started as just mainly a defensive player. Then he started to get his offensive game up. He got to an all-star, 20-point per game scorer. Then he elevated himself to like a 25-point per game scorer, like a superstar that could really lead his team. But the Bulls weren't really winning, so no one thought that he could lead a team to make a deep playoff run. He went to the Timberwolves, and I'll say the Timberwolves didn't work out because Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins, they did not buy into the system. They did not buy into the mentality that Jimmy Butler had. Then Butler went to Philadelphia, which could have turned out good. We'll never know because he was traded to the Heat later. But Jimmy Butler on the Heat is just a match made in heaven. And if any team's gonna lead Miami to the championship, it's definitely him. The next player I want to talk about is Bam Adebayo. Bam's playmaking ability really opens up the offense. If you look at the ball, a lot of times it just goes to Bam in the post. And then Bam is the most underrated passing big in the league, in my opinion. After Jokic, he's probably the best in the league. And yeah, so he gets the ball in the post. He can dish it out, and you obviously have you obviously have people who can cut to the rim. Jay Crowder, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, just people like that. And when Bam is able to pass like that, it really opens up the rest of the offense, and everyone's able to get going. And I think Bam should have won Most Improved Player of the Year. If you guys saw, it went to Brandon Ingram, but that's just my opinion. He's really stepped up this year, and that's all. And his defense also. My bad, I forgot to touch on that as well. That's really allowed the Heat to be successful on that side of the ball. You have Jimmy Butler locking up your best perimeter player, and then you have Bam locking down the center, and that's really the key ingredients to a championship team. Next thing I want to talk about for the Miami Heat is the shooting. I mean, you got Tyler Hero on one side, you got Duncan Robinson on the other side, even Jay Crowder on another side. That's crazy. Duncan Robinson this year is I would say he's a top 3-point shooter in the NBA. Tyler Hero really stepped into his role as a rookie and he's like shooting 44% from three or something like that. Same thing with Duncan Robinson. And Jay Crowder, who got from the Iguodala trade. We didn't even expect him to contribute much. He's been killing it in the playoffs. So all of these guys are really gelling together. And then I forgot to mention Iggy. He got traded from Memphis, and I mean, I don't think it's gonna matter now. But you always need another veteran leader who can guide the young guys. Even though you got a Jimmy Butler, but every once in a while, when Jimmy Butler's got to get focused on just taking over the game, you got to have a guy to say, go up to the other guys and say, "Come on, you can get in the game." Because when Jimmy Butler gets that killer mode on, it's over. And Iguodala has been on so many championship teams. He's been an all-star in his career, and he's really the perfect player that the Heat needed. That veteran presence that can put them over the hump. And the Heat definitely have a shot at winning the finals. Right now, the Bucks series, I don't know if they can get past the Bucks, but they definitely can, right? Jimmy Butler on Giannis and Bam. If you were watching the game, you saw that Bam was bullying Giannis in the paint. And on the defensive side of the ball, you always have Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo trying to clamp up Giannis, Jimmy on Chris Middleton. And then you have your scorers on the other side with Goran Dragic, Duncan Robinson, Jay Crowder, Tyler Hero, and all those other guys. And they really have a shot to beat this Bucks team, because the main weakness of the defense of the Bucks is their 3-point shooting. And you saw Duncan Robinson game 1, only 4 points. That's not going to continue for the rest of the series. You saw Tyler Hero. He had 12 points, but it was still a little bit of an off shooting night for him. And once those guys get it going, the Bucks are going to be in real trouble. And my prediction, I think it's definitely going to go 6 or 7 games, and I think the Heat can probably win the series. Then on to the next round, against the Celtics or Raptors. The Heat, they can get through them. I'm thinking the Raptors are probably a lot harder are going to be a harder matchup for the Heat. But even then, as long as they have Jimmy Butler to lead the way, Bam to be playmaking, and the shooting, they're going to be fine. The finals is where it gets a little bit more tricky. You're either gonna have probably Kawhi, and PG, or LeBron and AD. And this is a team that I think, you remember back to the 04 Pistons with Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Tayshaun Prince, and Rip Hamilton. They took down the LA Lakers, and I think the main reason that they did that is because of how well they gelled together. You can say the Lakers are gelled together, or work really well together. But if you really look at the roster 1 to 10, the Heat are probably a lot deeper than the Lakers. The Clippers are probably have them beat in that department, but the Clippers lack the what do you call it? They lack the ability to. They haven't played together much this year. Their full lineup. We've been talking about how the Clippers. Oh, they're gonna do this. They're gonna do that. Well, yeah, they're starting. Their main lineup has played 10 games together this year. And I had them in the finals. Beating the Lakers, but I don't know about that anymore. But yeah, so I think that the Heat just have a better they have better connections with each other than the Lakers, and I think that that's gonna help them beat them, LeBron and AD. So as long as you got Jimmy Butler, Bam, the shooters, and then they all buy into Spoelstra system, I think they can definitely win the championship. The Lakers or Clippers, they are gonna be really tough. It's a tough matchup there. Same thing with the Bucks here. But I think they can push through it. So there you guys go. Subscribe, like, and comment what you think. Comment who you think who you think's gonna win the finals this year. And I'll see you guys next time.